Snake Barrow. Snake Baron is actually the first apostle that Guts encounters in the Black Swordsman arc, and this guy sets the stage perfectly for what to expect from these monsters. In his human form, he is this creepy ruler of a town called Coca with pale skin, sharp teeth and empty eyes that just scream evil. But here is where it gets crazy. His released form transforms him into this massive cobra-snake hybrid with brutal strength and incredible durability. The Snake Baron demands gold and human cattle as food from the town mayor, which is absolutely insane. He literally eats people alive and takes savage pleasure in the fear he creates. During his rampage through Coca, he cut a child's body in half just to drink the blood while his soldiers trampled people with horses and burned everything. His released form has this cobra-like armor that is seriously intimidating, and he is strong enough to throw grown men around like toys. When Guts fights him, the battle is brutal. The Snake Baron wraps his tail around opponents to crush them, and his scales provide crazy defense. But here is the thing, this apostle is driven purely by hatred and sadism with zero redeeming qualities. Guts eventually defeats him by firing his cannon arm at point-blank range, which obliterates half his face, then cleaves him in two with the Dragon Slayer. In his final moments, the Snake Baron recognizes Guts as a survivor of the eclipse because of his brand of sacrifice. The Baron also participated in the eclipse itself, killing members of the Band of the Hawk alongside other apostles, which makes him even more despicable. What makes the Snake Baron memorable is that he is unapologetically evil. No tragic backstory or moment of redemption, just pure, monstrous cruelty. The Count. The Count is another early apostle, and honestly one of the most complex ones in the series. This guy used to be a devout nobleman who actually cared about his territory and ruled fairly. His apostle form is this massive slug-like demon with tentacles and the ability to partially transform parts of his body, which is unusual for apostles. But here is his tragic backstory that is absolutely brutal. He came home one day to find his wife participating in a pagan orgy which completely shattered his world since he was super religious. In his despair, his Beherit activated, and he sacrificed his wife to become this slug monster, then literally ate her alive. After his transformation, the Count became incredibly cruel, hunting people he accused of being heretics. But really, it was just a cover so he could torture and eat more victims. He kept his physician Vargas prisoner after discovering his secret and forced Vargas to watch as he ate Vargas's wife and two sons right in front of him. The Count also cut pieces from Vargas's body and tore off half his face, which is ridiculously sadistic. During the eclipse, the Count was one of the apostles who killed members of the Band of the Hawk, and he specifically took down Pippin using his corpse later to taunt Guts. His slug form is absolutely massive, with incredible strength and regenerative abilities. Plus, he can create pseudo-apostle minions by implanting parasitic slugs into people. When Guts battles the Count, it is an insane fight with the castle getting destroyed, and eventually Guts mortally wounds him. But here is where the Count shows he is not completely evil. When the God Hand appears and demands he sacrifice his daughter Teresia to get a second chance at life, he refuses. Despite all the horrible things he did, he couldn't bring himself to sacrifice his daughter, which shows he retained some humanity. The souls of his victims, including Vargas, drag him into the vortex of souls as punishment. What makes the Count fascinating is this duality between being an absolute monster but still having one shred of love for his daughter left. Rosine. Rosine is easily one of the most tragic apostles in the entire series, and her story is genuinely heartbreaking. She was just a young girl who suffered horrible abuse from her father and grew up in a village where her mother had been raped during a war, which made everyone question if her father was really her biological dad. Rosine escaped into fantasy believing in elves and the legend of Pekaf, this story about a boy with red eyes who ran away to live with elves. Her apostle form is this beautiful but deadly moth-elf hybrid with insect wings, antennae, and the ability to fly at supersonic speeds. Like we're talking fast enough to create sonic booms, which is absolutely insane. One night after more abuse, Rosine ran away to the Misty Valley to find the elves she believed in. When her parents found her days later, her father beat her and attacked her mother for defending her. In that moment of despair, her Beherit activated and Rosine sacrificed both her parents, becoming this moth apostle. After her transformation, she started kidnapping children from nearby villages and turning them into pseudo-apostles by wrapping them in cocoons that mutated them into insect. Like creatures she called her elves, she created this whole realm in the Misty Valley where these creature children would play but also kill each other for fun. Her abilities are crazy deadly. She produces poison dust from her wings that can paralyze opponents. Her speed makes her nearly impossible to hit. And she has this stinger attack that can pierce through armor. When Guts invades her domain with Puck and Jill, who is actually Rosine's childhood friend. The fight is brutal. Rosine offers to transform Jill into an elf, but Jill refuses after seeing how cruel Rosine has become. Guts uses fire to counter her poison and the cramped cave space to limit her speed advantage, eventually wounding her severely. In her dying moments, Rosine starts remembering becoming an apostle and silently begs her parents for forgiveness. Puck then reveals he is actually a real elf, which gives her peace before she dies, believing elves were real after all. What makes Rosine so compelling is that she is basically still a child mentally, despite being an apostle, and her actions come from a place of confusion and trauma rather than pure evil. Wyald. Wyald is hands down one of the most disgusting and brutal apostles in the Golden Age arc, and honestly, he is so vile he never appeared in any anime adaptation because his crimes are too extreme. This guy's motto is literally enjoyment and excitement. But what that actually means is committing the most heinous atrocities imaginable. Wyald used to be a frail old man before becoming an apostle, and at some point he became a convict in Midland's prisons. When the King of Midland needed soldiers 5 years before Griffith's escape, he assembled all criminals into an army, and Wyald volunteered as leader by brutally killing his only challenger, Barbo, by impaling him on a tower spike. He formed the Black Dog Knights, which became the most cruel army in all of Midland, known for burning villages, raping women, and butchering children on battlefields. His apostle form is this massive ape-like beast with incredible strength and a Yeti Sasquatch body, plus he retains his human upper body, which is unusual. When the Band of the Hawk rescued Griffith, the king ordered Wyald to hunt them down. In pursuit, Wyald's group found a farm that had helped the Hawks, and Wyald decided to have some fun. They slaughtered everyone, burned children alive, raped the women, then dismembered their bodies and displayed them on weapons. During the battle with the Band of the Hawk, Wyald killed his own men when they wanted to retreat, just crushing their heads with his fingers to make a point about fear. His fight with Guts is absolutely brutal, with Wyald using pure strength and no technique whatsoever. Even in his human form, Wyald possesses monstrous reflexes and power that let him keep up with trained warriors like Guts, despite having zero combat training. Guts eventually defeats him, critically wounding him. But what is crazy is Wyald isn't killed by Guts. He is torn apart by Zod, another apostle who shows up. Before dying, Wyald desperately tries to find his Beherit to transform again, but it is already gone. Wyald appeared at the eclipse too, attempting to witness Griffith's transformation. What makes Wyald stand out is he represents pure unchecked evil with absolutely zero redeeming qualities. He lived only for sadistic pleasure and destruction. Nosferatu Zodd, Zod the Immortal, who is honestly one of the most powerful beings in the entire Berserk universe. This guy has been an apostle for approximately 300 years, which is absolutely insane. And he has spent those 3 centuries slaughtering thousands of warriors on battlefields across the world. Zod, as human form, is already terrifying. He is this enormous, heavily muscled warrior standing over 7 feet tall who wields massive swords or axes. But his released apostle form is even more brutal, transforming him into this massive minotaur, lion hybrid with bull horns, clawed hands, hooves, and the ability to sprout giant bat wings for flight. What makes Zod different from other apostles is he doesn't eat humans or take pleasure in torturing the weak. He only desires battle against worthy opponents. He is actually melancholy about his own strength because he is too powerful to find adequate challenges among regular humans. Zod has this long-standing rivalry with the Skull Knight, and they've battled dozens of times over the centuries, with neither emerging as the clear winner. During the Golden Age arc, Zod single-handedly slaughters 50 members of the Band of the Hawk who raid a castle he is protecting. When Guts and Griffith fight him together, they actually manage to wound him, making them the first humans in 300 years to injure Zod. But here is where it gets crazy. During their fight, Zod senses that Griffith possesses the Crimson Beherit and recognizes him as someone destined for greatness. Before leaving, Zod gives this cryptic warning to Guts about how when Griffith's ambition collapses, death will come for everyone around him, which directly foreshadows the eclipse. Zod participates in the Eclipse massacre, killing many Hawks members, but later he becomes one of Griffith's most loyal followers after Griffith is reborn as Femto. His respect for strength makes him acknowledge both Guts and the Skull Knight as worthy opponents even while serving Griffith. Zod's combat abilities are absolutely ridiculous. He can fight hundreds to thousands of enemies single-handedly. His regeneration lets him recover from grievous wounds, and his centuries of experience make him a master of every weapon and fighting style. What is fascinating about Zod is, despite being a bloodthirsty warrior, he operates on a code of honor, respecting those who can stand against him. Emperor Ganishka. Emperor Ganishka is without question the strongest apostle shown in the series, and his power is so immense, it is actually uncontrollable. This guy ruled the Kushan Empire, and unlike most apostles who serve the god hand, Ganishka actively opposed them, especially Griffith, which makes him unique. His backstory is dark. He survived constant schemes and assassination attempts in the Kushan royal court throughout his youth, which hardened him into this callous, calculating ruler. He killed his younger brother, his mother, and his father to secure power, and became convinced that inspiring fear was the only way to survive. Ganishka's first apostle form is this massive manifestation of fog and mist, where he can project himself as this giant face-shaped cloud. In this form, he is intangible, making physical attacks useless, and he can summon lightning strikes that are powerful enough to kill other apostles instantly. He can also devour people within his fog and use it for surveillance across entire cities. But here is where it gets absolutely insane. Ganishka created a man-made Beherit by stitching together the still-living bodies of captured apostles into a vat filled with amniotic fluid. He used this device to create demon soldiers called Daka, by having pregnant women submerged in it, which mutated their unborn babies into these half-demon monstrosities that burst from their mothers, killing them. This is genocide-level evil, creating an army through the mass murder of Midland women. When Ganishka realizes he can't defeat Griffith with his current power, he undergoes a second reincarnation by entering the man-made Beherit himself. His twice reborn form, called Shiva Ganishka, is this colossal tower-like being that is literally as tall as mountains, with multiple heads that breathe fire whip-like arms all over, and the ability to create pseudo-apostle spawn from people he crushes. In this form, Ganishka can destroy entire cities just by walking, and his power comes from one of the deepest layers of the astral world. The problem is this power is so immense that Ganishka loses his sanity and sense of self, becoming this mindless force of destruction. During the final battle, Guts and Zod work together to fight him, and Shirk figures out his weakness, hitting his projected astral body between the eyes with a weapon that can harm astral beings like the Dragon Slayer, causes him intense pain, and disperses his fog form. Griffith also exploits another weakness, using intense wind to scatter his mist form. Ultimately, Ganishka is defeated when the Skull Knight's attack is redirected by Femto striking Ganishka and triggering the merging of the astral and physical worlds. What makes Ganishka terrifying is his sheer scale of evil, from creating demon soldiers through forced pregnancy to attempting to transcend the god hand itself. Grunbeld. Grunbeld is one of the most honorable apostles serving in Griffith's reborn band of the Hawk, and his backstory from the novel, The Flame Dragon Knight, is seriously compelling. In his human form, Grunbeld is already intimidating. Standing 270 centimeters tall and weighing 303 kilograms, he is this massive warrior covered in dragon, scale armor, wielding a huge great hammer and a shield equipped with a cannon. His apostle form transforms him into this enormous quadruped dragon with corundum crystal scales that are harder than steel covering his body, and he can breathe devastating flames from his mouth. The corundum is this crystalline form of aluminum oxide that provides insane defensive capabilities. Grunbeld's origin story is tragic. He was born to impoverished nobility and endured abuse as a child. After Tudor forces invaded his homeland, killing his mother, who was raped and murdered, he was captured along with other children and imprisoned in Fort Chester, where they faced brutal conversion education. There he befriended 3 people, Edvard, Sigurd, and Benedict, who became the most important people in his life. Benedicte was this blind girl who called him a dragon and believed he would become mighty, which shaped his identity. After years of resistance and torture, watching his friend Sigurd repeatedly violated as punishment for his defiance, Grunbeld eventually led a rebellion. But he was betrayed by Edvard, who had grown jealous and wanted power for himself. In the chaos with his friends dying and enemies closing in, Grunbeld, Beherit activated. The God Hand offered him a new battle, and he sacrificed all 3 of his closest friends, Edvard, Sigurd, and Benedict, even though Sigurd and Benedict were already near death. After becoming an apostle, Grunbeld devoured Edvard and burned his captors alive before killing the corrupt Grand Duke. Years later, he traveled through Kushan, occupied Midland, searching for the Falcon of Light Griffith to serve him. Grunbeld became famous during the 100-Year War, defending against invasions, and earned the title Great Flame Dragon. He leads the band of the Falcon's Giant Division, where other apostles serve under him. His combat abilities are ridiculous. His great hammer can shatter weapons and armor, his shield can shoot cannonballs and withstand cannon fire, and his dragon form, Corundum skin, can tank hits from the Dragon Slayer. His flame breath can incinerate entire areas. When Guts fights him wearing the Berserker armor, it is one of the series' most intense battles, with Guts barely able to match Grunbeld's raw power. What makes Grunbeld interesting is he retains his honor and code, even as an apostle seeking worthy combat, but fighting for what he believes is a better world under Griffith. Locus. Locus, known as the Moonlight Knight, is probably the most dignified and honorable apostle in the entire series. This guy has an undefeated record in jousting tournaments and was famous across multiple kingdoms, but he was too proud to serve anyone until he had a prophetic vision of Griffith. In his human form, Locus is this regal knight in silvery armor who rides a powerful horse and wields a lance with incredible skill. His apostle form merges him with his horse, creating this metallic centaur, like being with a silvery sheen hooked protrusions all over his body, and his lance transforms into a flattened blade-like weapon while his shield fuses with his arm. What sets Locus apart is he is incredibly calm, calculated, and strategic compared to other apostles. He doesn't give in to base instincts or bloodlust, and he is able to see advantages in capturing enemy troops to repurpose them for Griffith's army. Locus serves as captain of the band of the Falcon's Lancer Division, and he is also Griffith's right-hand man in political affairs, attending formal occasions and helping with diplomacy. He can single-handedly dispatch hordes of demon soldiers called Daka, and together with his Lancer unit can carve straight through vast enemy lines. During battles against Emperor Ganishka, Locus questions why a fellow apostle would oppose their master, showing his loyalty to Griffith. He also displays this wisdom that is rare among apostles, believing that warriors on opposite sides aren't necessarily enemies, just people fighting for different beliefs. His released form is designed specifically for warfare and jousting, unlike many apostles who have grotesque or sexualized transformations. Locus views Griffith's actions as beneficial for the world, and believes genuine kings receive their rule from superior powers, which he sees in Griffith's abilities. While not much is known about his life before becoming an apostle, or the circumstances of his transformation, Locus represents what happens when someone retains their nobility and sense of purpose even after sacrificing their humanity. He is focused, calculated, and deadly effective, making him one of Griffith's most valuable commanders. Irvine. Irvine is this mysterious archer apostle who serves as the captain of the band of the Falcon's Archery Division, and honestly, he is one of the most unique apostles in the series. In his human form, Irvine appears thin and wears this distinctive hawk-like mask with featureless eyes. Unlike most apostles who prefer close combat, Irvine excels at long-range fighting using a demonic greatbow that can fire multiple arrows simultaneously with devastating precision. His archery skills are so refined that his arrows can decapitate targets from insane distances. When he transforms into his apostle form, Irvine becomes this wolf-deer hybrid creature with horned hindquarters, a fur-covered body, and werewolf-like facial features. What is crazy is he can generate arrows from his tail fur and use his horns as a makeshift crossbow. These arrows expand into root-like spikes upon impact, completely eviscerating targets from the inside, which is brutal. Not much is known about Irvine's past before becoming an apostle, which adds to his mysterious nature. What makes Irvine stand out is his personality. He is actually one of the kindest apostles shown in the series. He is solitary by nature, spending time alone playing his lute and hunting in forests. When Sonia, a young girl in Griffith's band, approaches his campfire one night, Irvine welcomes her company, inviting her to sit by the fire and covering her with his jacket when she falls asleep. This shows he is capable of genuine kindness and care, unlike most apostles who are purely cruel. Irvine doesn't seem to care about the typical apostle behavior of eating humans or causing destruction for pleasure. He appears more aligned with nature, living peacefully when not in battle. His fighting style, using long range attacks, makes him nearly untouchable in combat, and his projectiles have explosive properties. Irvine develops a unique bond with Sonia, who rides on his back during the climactic battle against Ganishka. What is interesting is, despite serving Griffith, Irvine maintains this peaceful, almost druidic personality, representing how not all apostles completely lose their humanity. Rakshas. Rakshas is the shadowy assassin of Griffith's Band of the Falcon, and he is one of the most twisted and dangerous apostles, despite being physically weaker than others. This guy was exiled from the Kushan Empire, specifically from the Bakiraka clan, because of his heinous crimes, which says a lot considering how brutal that empire already was. Rakshas wears a black cloak and a distinctive white three-eyed mask that conceals his true form. His apostle abilities let him manipulate shadows, and his body has this amorphous quality where he can move around like mist or shadow, making him perfect for stealth missions and assassinations. He can extend retractable tendrils for lethal attacks, and his body can shift and flow to avoid damage. What makes Rakshas particularly dangerous is his speed and unpredictability. He can handle fighting multiple enemies simultaneously without taking breaks. His only weak point is supposedly his face, but because of his amorphous nature, he can move it around his body, making it nearly impossible to hit. Fire is his main vulnerability, which Rickard exploits later when escaping from Falconia. What is crazy about Rakshas is his motivation for serving Griffith. He openly admits he only joined the Band of the Falcon because he wants to kill Griffith eventually. He is preserving the right to assassinate his own master, which is insane. Rakshas leads the search and destroy division, acting as Griffith's personal spy and scout. He is responsible for exposing Silet to Ganishka's demonic experiments. Despite his allegiance to Griffith being purely self-serving, Rakshas works effectively as part of the team, often distracting enemies or eliminating them one by one from the shadows. His assassin skills make him invaluable for infiltration and reconnaissance. Later, Rakshas attempts to assassinate Rickard in Falconia, engaging in combat with Silet when he intervenes. His apostle form enhances his size and gives him more tentacle dexterity while maintaining his shrouded appearance. What makes Rakshas compelling is this combination of being absolutely twisted and psychotic, while also being a competent soldier who knows when to follow orders, even if his ultimate goal is betrayal. The Egg of the Perfect World, also called the Egg Apostle. This being is completely different from every other apostle because instead of seeking power or pleasure, his entire purpose was to create a perfect world. The Egg used to be a deformed man who lived in the sewers beneath a city, surviving by eating corpses and waste. He was so hideous that even beggars would attack him. Despite his horrible existence, he developed this dream of creating a perfect world where he wouldn't have to be alone. When he found a Beharit after years of wandering, he didn't have anyone to sacrifice. He was so isolated and rejected that he had no loved ones. But the Beharit activated anyway, and he sacrificed himself, offering up his own dreams and humanity to become an apostle. His apostle form looks like this massive egg-shaped being covered in wounds and markings. The Egg Apostle had this singular purpose: to incubate and birth the demon child who was the corrupted offspring of Guts and Casca into a vessel for Griffith's incarnation. During the Conviction arc, the Egg Apostle wanders through the burning Tower of Conviction, gathering souls and suffering. In his final act, he swallows the dying demon child, choosing to take the child with him so neither would die alone. This act of compassion, despite being an apostle, shows he retained some humanity. His sacrifice allows Griffith to manifest in the physical world again, using the demon child as a vessel. What makes the egg of the perfect world so tragic is he never hurt anyone for pleasure or power. He just wanted to not be alone and believed creating this perfect world would end suffering. His death is actually peaceful as he finally finds purpose in his existence. He is proof that not all apostles are purely evil, and some retain empathy even after their transformation. Pseudo-Apostles. Pseudo-Apostles are these lesser demon creatures created by full apostles through various methods, and they're honestly terrifying in their own right. Unlike true apostles who made conscious sacrifices to the god-hand pseudo-apostles are created when humans get transformed against their will. The Count creates pseudo-apostles by forcing people to ingest parasitic slugs, which grants them regenerative abilities, and lets the Count monitor and speak through them. Rosine creates hers by kidnapping children and wrapping them in cocoons that mutate them into insect. Like creatures she calls elves. Emperor Ganishka creates the Daka by having pregnant women submerged in his man-made Beherit, which infuses their unborn babies with demonic power, turning them into these half-demon monstrosities. Pseudo-apostles are generally weaker than true apostles, and they often revert to human form when they die. This caused problems for Guts during Rosine's arc, because when he killed her pseudo-apostle elves in a burning barn, they transformed back into dead children, making the villagers think Guts murdered kids. The abilities of pseudo-apostles vary wildly depending on who created them, and how. Rosine's insect. Elves can fly and swarm enemies, but individually they're not very strong. Ganishka's Daka are more formidable with enhanced strength and durability, able to overwhelm regular soldiers. What makes pseudo-apostles interesting is they show how apostles can extend their power, creating armies of lesser demons to serve them. They're also tragic figures since most were innocent humans forcibly transformed into monsters with no choice in the matter. So those are all the major apostles in Berserk, and honestly, each one shows a different aspect of what it means to sacrifice your humanity for power. From the pure evil of Wyald and the Snake Baron to the tragic circumstances of Rosine, and the egg of the perfect world to the honorable warriors. Like Grunbeld and Locus, every apostle represents some aspect of human nature, twisted and magnified. What makes them fascinating is they're not just mindless monsters. They retain elements of who they were as humans, whether that is the Count's love for his daughter Zodd's desire for worthy combat, or Irvine's peaceful nature. The apostles are proof that even after sacrificing everything, some spark of humanity can remain even if it is buried under centuries of violence and darkness. And that is what makes Berserk's apostles some of the most compelling villains in all of manga.